Hello, everybody, and welcome to podcast listening and podcast walking. Now, Dr. Bob Levine and I have come to the conclusion over a series of Zoom meetings, and we have been on how many together,
Oh
but
my God.
too many to count.
A lot. We've
A
been on
lot.
a lot. Yeah.
And hours.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Hours
Okay.
and hours of sitting in
Of
front.
sitting.
Yeah.
and
Right.
and watching our muscles and our bodies atrophy before our eyes. But we love networking. We love what we're doing. We love talking and communicating with people, and we enjoy each other's company. And we're on a very unique group that we thought was very important for today's society called Well Wave Now. And that is a group with a couple of friends of ours, Breck Rice and Tim Daniels. We gather because we have health solutions. And part of this podcast is one of the most important health solutions that we can bring and offer today. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to help you break the shackles of Zoom meetings. We're going to help you learn networking live interactivity. And you can do it by taking in information, but connecting asynchronously. That's a fancy word. And we're going to break down words. It just means not having to connect at the same time. It's not a big deal, but it's what is used in the world of social media. So be aware of that. But what happened is now Dr. Bob lives in Florida. Okay. I live in California. I happen to believe in the law of attraction and the most amazing things that I've been able to attract into my life. And I did it before technology could really enhance it with what I call the law of intelligence and technology and AI. And I've been able to attract many things and led a very successful life. But then with the pandemic and AI and just so many things have happened that it's changed things. And so what we really wanted to do was come together. And so I invited Dr. Bob to come out here to stay at my place and introduce him to a friend that he can help. And we can help millions of people. And we're going to start doing it right now. And what we are using, and I'll introduce you to Dr. Bob in just a second. I'd like to set the stage here for a second. Now, I have introduced and attracted to my life a gentleman named Nakul Thomas, who is my neighbor. And Nakul is an MBA student at Oxford University in the UK. And I shared with him a problem that I saw in my town, around my town too, Lafayette, California, and uh, the cities right around us. One is called Orinda, one is called Moraga or La Morinda for the three cities together. And there's an epidemic of retail store closings, restaurant closings, small businesses, professional offices. And a lot of people are working at home, like Dr. Bob does, and a lot of people are. So we saw this big problem. So my friend Nakul said, well, I want to share with you a strategy from Oxford University, from both the dean and from a gentleman who is really a local hometown hero. And I'm going to be talking about him in a minute and throughout our conversation with Dr. Bob. That is Professor Eero Vaara of Oxford, who witnessed his town struggling, Espoo, Finland. And what he wanted to do was to cure the problems and document them. So that's kind of setting the stage of how we want to cure the problems of local businesses and entrepreneurs, but starting with your individual income, your health, your wealth, and your well-being. Dr. Bob?
Yeah, Mike, I just wanted to jump in for a moment and ask you to share with the our listeners the power and importance of an institution like Oxford. So could you say something about that? And before you do that, I'm just going to tell everybody I'm Dr. Bob Levine. I'm a holistic health expert. chronic pain relief, stress relief. I've helped thousands of people run clinical trials, proven the modalities that I use are wildly effective in terms of the data we collected and the successes we had. So that's a little bit about my background. Let's say something about the power and the importance of a institution like Oxford, Mike.
There's really nothing like it, to tell you the truth. Think of an educational institution that is 900 years old. Can you even imagine that? What they have gone through, what they have learned, and the universities that they have spawned. So it's just incredible. But currently, um, here's the situation. Okay. The dean of Oxford University, Dr. Sumitra Dutta, got his doctorate from the University of California, Berkeley, one of the top universities in the world. And he got it in AI, Bob, 30 years ago from computer.
Amazing.
Yeah, quantum computing. So that's kind of how that came about. And he talks about the power of AI and the changes that it is bringing to society. Now, Mayor Bloomberg of New York recognized that New York needed a really top business school to kind of save New York and bring some revitalization to it. So what he did is he held a contest of universities. And the MBA university that Dr. Sumitra Dutta was running won the contest. And he was chosen to be the dean of the business university in New York City. So these are world-class, top intellects, top experience, but they're also in business. So these are MBAs. They're not just in white ivory towers, but they are, working with the real world. And what he talks about, and I've listened to many of his lectures, is he talks about that AI is going to spawn many opportunities, but it's also going to create many challenges, and it's going to create sinkholes where it swallows up businesses and jobs. And so you really need to be on top of it. And I've been in media really my whole adult life. And I saw how the credibility of media is sinking. I was with NBC in New York. I worked with the best broadcasters in the world, won 2 Peabody Awards. But media is being demeaned and belittled and challenged. And so I'm really focusing on academia, because I think that is going to be the common ground that can bring us all back together around our own incomes. The one thing we all have in common, Bob, for our families and our kids and all the people we love in our lives. And we, as fathers, need to be responsible. So I hope that's setting the stage a little bit for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing I heard in what you were saying, Mike, was the practicality, the worldview, and the what do you call it? The boots on the ground that these people at Oxford have, which is so important. And I think you're right that AI is taken over like a storm, and it's going to be really important to figure out what's real and what's not real, right? What's good and what's not good. What's real knowledge and what's fake knowledge, and what's great wisdom and what's not wisdom at all. And so I think that the affiliation with a top-notch university like Oxford and other universities that we were all affiliated with is going to be really important to discern all that, so people can rely on us to provide the, let's say, truthful information. And that's what's really, really important, Mike.
Give you an example. Oxford spawned Cambridge. Okay. Cambridge is like the new kid on the block compared to Oxford. So you look at like presidents of the United States, Rhodes Scholars and Oxford Scholars. And, that scholarship is very, very important to process information. Now, there's a lot of really great things we see so many people working hard to separate people, isolate people. And the beauty of AI is that it has the ability to process so much information worldwide that it's able to spot patterns, Bob. Yeah. Now, when you can spot patterns, then you can break that down and spot the common sense. So few people have common sense today, it seems like. And what AI does is it helps you to find what is the common sense. and that helps you find the common ground. So one thing we all have in common, no matter what our political, religious beliefs are, is an interest in our ability to make an income. We live in America. You need one to survive and for our families. So we can spot common sense, common ground, common causes, and commonwealth.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. That's really great. And I love that you talk about common sense because that's really important. It's you got to have it. And the thing is, you can learn it. You can, that's what AI can be good at. That's why we're going to help because we can teach people about how to have common sense, how to interpret what is being fed to us or what we're being exposed to, so we can interpret it in a way that empowers us. And you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a division going on in America. We're going to put ourselves, it doesn't matter what somebody's background is, ethnicity, race, color, it just doesn't matter. Political affiliation. It's like we all need to get along anyway. So, and it's important that we want to get along. We want to love people. We want to have great open hearts. We want to be trusting of people. And we have to know when to trust and when not to trust. I've learned that recently in the last bunch of years when I'm working with all these thousands of people that I've been able to help for the most part, been able to help most of them, is that trust is so important. And so we're going to bring that to our podcast. And then in a moment, I've got something else I want to discuss after you go.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about putting boots on the ground to make this real for people, and how we're going to help them learn immediately what's in it for them. And that's the key. So we're going to be talking about AI and podcast walking. So we're going to be teaching you how to earn a living, how to, protect your mental health, your spiritual health, your monetary health, your physical health, all parts of your health and wealth. And so we're going to be doing podcast walking to share. And you can talk a little bit about how you can help people with their health right while they're out of a Zoom meeting, out in their city on trails or walking through the city streets and learning more as they walk.
Yeah, Mike, I wanted to mention earlier you said something about these automatic patterns, right? That AI can recognize. That's what I do with health. I look at individuals and I'm able to help them identify what and begin to develop new awareness for what their automatic patterns are that are giving them results that they don't want. And then once they recognize those, I teach them how to interrupt those patterns. And once somebody interrupts something that's automatic, they're free of it, which is really fantastic. So it applies to all areas of life. I focus predominantly on chronic pain, stress, and anxiety. However, it applies to everything from communication to relationships to somebody's view about money and religion, everything. So these automatic patterns are critical to identify, and AI is going to help us do that.
Okay, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like you to help people visualize that they are out walking, they're on a path, they're seeing themselves with their headset on, theater of the mind, and some of the things that you're going to be talking to them about as they are listening, some of the things I'm going to be talking about. But I'd like you to help them visualize what will it be like when you're out of a Zoom meeting and you have headsets on and you're learning, you're listening, and you're physically walking. What's that going to be like? So talk a little bit about that and how you're going to be able to help them, how I'm going to help them with podcasting and media. And let's get them to visualize through theater of the mind and the subconscious mind, what they can actually learn by getting healthy at the same time.
So, Mike, how about we go for a walk and I'll talk while we walk? What do you think about that?
Well, we can give it a shot and see how that comes out.
I'm sure it's going to be great, but that way you're talking about boots on the ground. Let's get boots on the ground. We'll just
all right,
pop out of the car and go for a walk.
It sounds good. So what's happening right now to keep you in the theater of our minds and your mind is that we are getting out of the car. We're going for a walk. And we're walking over to the Lafayette Reservoir. And so this will be interesting. So we have ducks honking over here.
That's right. All the birds
so we have
it's beautiful.
All the extraneous noise of being outside. So we're going to do a combination of outdoor recording because, I could be walking over to my gym. I could be driving over to my gym. I could be doing a lot of things. I could be walking and talking. Now you are looking out for the first time, Dr. Bob, at the Lafayette Reservoir. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you were seeing?
Well, first of all, it's just beautiful here, and the trees, the foliage, the water, and the peacefulness of it all. People walking their dogs and their kids, and in the strollers. That's just fantastic. And I think that this idea of walking, I know that this idea of walking podcast walking is powerful. It's going to be effective for people because you can be on a podcast, you can be on a Zoom call, and you can be walking. And then that's where we get into proper walking. You can breathe the clean air, listen to the sounds of nature. It's just beautiful. So, but now I want to talk for a moment about proper walking because the average person takes between 30,000 and 50,000 repetitive movements every day. That's every day, 30,000, 50,000 movements. The average person takes between 2,000 and 15,000 steps every day. And most people are doing these repetitive movements in a way that's not effective for them. It's not efficient. It's not proper in a sense. There's a proper way to do things, and there's an improper way. And so, what I teach people is how to walk in proper ways, because I always say that you can either be walking yourself into pain or walking your way out of pain. Depends on what if you know how to walk properly or not. What are we looking at here now?
Well, we're looking at some of the things that you can see when you're not stuck in a Zoom meeting.
Oh yeah.
So you're noticing things.
There's an explanation about the water system here, all the reservoirs. There's the watershed, all about the land and the streams and the forest and how you can have recreation for all. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and you can be actually critiquing people as they walk. You're going to see different things and
Yeah.
different people. We have to be mic aware here. So different things that you're going to be seeing. There also is some wind I'm noticing, so we have to be aware of that because hopefully we're not getting
Oh, I
disrupted.
don't think we're getting too much of that. And what I want to tell you right now is when I look around at people walking, the first step to proper walking is instead of looking down at the ground, to look up. People look down at the ground, I think, because they just don't want to trip and fall. And that actually leads to more trips and falls when people are looking at the ground. Also, it leads to a forward head posture. Imagine your head moving out away from your body. Your chin, your head is moving forward, and that creates a lot of tension on the neck muscles, the back of the neck. That's why people carry a lot of tension. And the first tip I want to give you is when you're out walking, before you start walking, you scan, look down right in front of you and scan out about 50 to 100 feet and notice if there's anything in the way. If there's nothing in the way, then just keep walking and then look up the whole way, the whole time.
Okay, now what I'm going to be talking about so that you understand this is not just about walking. This is about podcasting. This is about outreach. So I'm going to be talking about things about broadcasting, about media, about mic presence, about wind blowing, so that as you're, walking, you can be learning by osmosis and just by absorbing it. You don't have to be taking notes. You don't have to be watching a webinar. If you are doing this on an ongoing basis, just like osmosis, you're going to begin to learn more than you can even imagine. And it will be sinking in deeper. I'm going to be talking about some of the benefits that I am observing as we are podcasting. And I will be talking about podcasting as well and how you can do it, how you can be learning. So we're out. We're not stuck in a webinar. We're looking at signs as we walk along. We're learning things and we are choosing what we look at, where we want to be as we are learning. We have that power to make our own choices because we are learning podcasting and we are learning walking and we're learning about cardiovascular health and all the different parts of our health that we want to focus on.
Perfect, Mike. So shall we just walk a little bit now? Okay, so we're going to walk on the walking path. It's a beautiful path. There's many people. And what I noticed already, look at this. There's more things we can learn about because they have all these beautiful displays, the history of the Lafayette Reservoir, the thriving ecosystem, all the different fish, rainbow trout, black crappie. I never heard of a black crappie before. Channel catfish, all these different ones. It's fantastic. The white sturgeon is cool looking too. And then the reservoir birds. There's so many birds here. It's so prevalent and they're so beautiful. So we get to hang out with them. You can hear them. I heard one in the background. I don't know if it came through on the mic. So it's really, really fun. Yeah. So thank you, Mike. Mike was telling me that I should be talking louder so the people around me can hear and benefit from it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, so here we are on the walking path. It's a beautiful flat path. The one thing I noticed right away, in fact, you can see it. This woman in front of us is far enough in front of us so she cannot hear me, even if I yelled at her. And look how her head is just looking down at the ground. Absolutely. Her head is so far. No, she's actually hurting herself by walking like that. And it's unfortunate because she doesn't know any better. So when we teach people how to walk in an upright way, look long and look up. That's really the first step. And so you look at these two people coming to us, the two people coming to us, you're going to notice how many people end up doing that. It's just, and that looking down, we always say that I always teach people that when you look down on a regular basis when you're walking, that leads later in life to a walker. So of course it doesn't happen till later in life. So you see young people looking down, middle-aged people looking down, but when they get older, it's going to come back to bite them. So that's why it's so important. And there she goes over there. You can see her with the head forward. Anyway, here you go, Mike.
Okay, now, guys, I am a director. I was a documentary director with NBC in New York. So I'm listening for podcast things that you can be learning about as you are talking about whatever your subject matter is. Now, Dr. Bob's his is about health and walking, but many parts of health, not just walking. So mine is media, marketing, storytelling, and we are working with the Oxford narrative storytelling. So as we are walking, we are telling a story. We're telling a story about walking. This is a narrative. We're giving you tips on walking and learning, education. I call it dreams. Now, what that means, that's an acronym. Dreams for me is about education. It's deep rest education about monetization systems, or it could be direct response education about monetization systems, about making money, about podcasting, about your wisdom, your expertise, what you can teach people. So we're going back and forth. I'm handling kind of the media side, the podcasting side. Dr. Bob is studying techniques in podcasting. So we're going to be sharing those, what he learns in the classes that he's taking. And I recommend people study podcasting and work with podcast educators, podcast trainers to really share stories and narratives. And I'm going off to Oxford soon for what is called a live case or live case study. And we're going to be talking about how to bring great benefits to my town, and that is Lafayette, California. But we're going to go back and forth. So we don't want these to be long monologues. As a director, I'll give Dr. Bob a cue that it's time for me to talk a little bit, and then he'll give me a cue that I'm talking too long.
That's the best thing I learned, Mike. I'm giving you the cue. I'm ready.
Exactly, for him to talk. So here we go. Back to Dr. Bob.
So I just want to give a little bit about my background so people know this is not just about walking. I pushed a button on the mic here. Is it still?
Yeah, you got to be real careful. Touch it on
still going.
And again, we're talking here.
Okay,
so
it's still going, right?
yeah, it's still.
Oh yeah, it's still going. It's still going. Look.
Still okay, going. Good. Now it's on the real mic. But now again, directing, podcasting, back and forth. Hold the phone on the sides, especially the lower side.
Got it. Hi there.
Hey. Holy cow!
Oh man!
How are you?
Hi there, I'm Bob Levine. Hi,
Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
We're
Hi,
actually
I'm Bob.
recording a podcast.
Hi there, I'm Bob.
Oh wait! Come back.
Are we going to be on the podcast?
Yeah. You're on it right now. Well, this is the power of community right here.
We can edit you guys out, so you don't have to worry about it.
If you say something really silly or dirty, we'll cut it out.
Jesse, Ellen, and Jake. Sorry, Jake. No. We're on a podcast. So my brain is a little. So we're actually doing a whole thing with Oxford University.
Yeah, I heard.
Yes. Yeah, it's called a live study, and we're trying to rejuvenate some of the shuttered retail, restaurant, and offices, throughout Lafayette. So Dr. Bob is from Florida, and he a friend of mine,
my winter coat right here.
a friend of mine has neuropathy, so I introduced them. So he's going to help a friend of mine who has neuropathy. So he's out from Florida State overnight last night, and now we're walking around Lafayette. and we're doing.
Got a week of treatments. So
I got to again. I have to be Mike closer. So I'm the I'm the director, guys. So we're teaching podcasting, and we're teaching podcast walking and talking, so that you can be out and about like you guys are. Your physical health, right? Okay, and you can be learning and taking in and improving your mental health at the same time.
You do have to be able to walk and talk.
You do it and chew gum is no,
okay.
don't chew gum. Not on Mike. Anyway, you guys are out walking. We're doing our thing because he only has till 3:00, so we have to.
Okay.
No, then he's going to the patient.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And he'll be spending time with the patient for that. So it's amazing. But this is now, if you were stuck in a Zoom meeting, you wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
You wouldn't run into your friends out walking. This is amazing. This is just a benefit of being out in the community, right? And sharing thoughts and visions and
the beauty.
Yeah. How do you guys like Lafayette? We're kind of like, come and do business in Minnesota. We're like, come and do business in Lafayette. How do you guys like Lafayette?
Well, the weather's a lot better than Minnesota.
Yeah, there's that.
I lived in Chicago for a few years. It's a nice, safe community, and people generally get along, and it's got great schools. Weather's great. It's very close to San Francisco and everything you can do there, or other parts of the Bay Area. So yeah, we love it. We've been here 30 years.
You can meet the most amazing people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing I love that we have is a very good community where we live, even on our street, where the neighbors know each other, and we do parties at the end of the street. And we've had 3 kids grow up here and grandkids now, and just happy that and now that we're retired, happy to be able to be outside and look around and enjoy the bald eagles that we've seen and the otters and
2 weeks ago, the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, now Jake, we do cross age group networking, and part of the Oxford strategy is to talk to people at Acalanes who went to Acalanes or went to school in Lafayette. What do they want Lafayette to be in the future? And we have a form. We ask people to take a survey. What would you like Lafayette to be in the future? And can you engage your parents? So what we want is, what do you want your kids, what do you want this town to be like for your kids to grow up in? And so then we're taking all of this data, and we can put it all into AI through forms, and it will tell us what is the common sense, what is the common ground, what do people have in common,
what brings people together,
and it may be Christmas tree shopping, right? Like we did right? Like we did together, right? So, and this is what happens when you're not in a Zoom. But I'd love to send you the form. I'd love you to take the survey, share it with your parents who are asking kids to share it with their parents. We've got the most amazing people in Lafayette. So what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I mean, truth be told, I guess it's a pretty big question to ask all of a sudden, but
it is, yeah.
I guess if I was trying to think, I do like what you guys are doing in terms of like trying to get a lot of the old restaurants, like having them back up and running. Cause I grew up with a lot of stuff like that. So seeing that kind of stuff go away is always a bit of a bummer. I guess one thing that would be really nice is maybe not related to that. When I went to Acalanes, the parking situation and the traffic situation's awful. They're putting apartments there now. It's, oh God, I would not want to go to school there now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we get it, but I put you on the spot. You performed brilliantly. Thank you so much. And you were a real gamer. I love that. But we will send you the form, and we'd love to just have you put your input. We want to learn, because AI is coming. It's going to change the world. It's kind of a bullet train, and it's coming at us faster than any of us can learn or absorb. So
we want to use AI to help bring communities together and grow them rather than tear them apart, because AI has capacity to do so many different things depending on how people use it.
Exactly.
So should we let these people continue their walk since we waylaid them?
I'm a holistic health expert.
Okay.
I will give you in 30 seconds the one of the number one tips for proper walking, which is if you look around and notice how people walk, most people are looking down at the ground like 75% of the time. And there's no, now this is a problem, this pathway here, because there's a lot of cracks and bumps and everything else, but to navigate. So you got to pay attention to that. But out on the flat, people are looking down. So when people look down, where's that going to lead to? It's going to lead to a walker, because the head goes forward, you know, their neck and is fighting gravity, and they just keep going. Gravity's bringing this for more and more. So if you can scan before you start walking, you scan and then look long, there's nothing in the way. Look, keep your head up over your shoulders, and yeah, life is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Well, my only comment is, and I'm a board certified internist.
Oh, cool.
But is that walking around the reservoir, if you don't look down, you step in dog shit.
Oh yeah. Hopefully people are taking it up. Help them.
Okay, now
Help you with the conclusion.
Yeah.
in,
Take care.
in fairness, I do edit these, so anything you guys don't want in there, you just tell me, and I'll.
We're
edit
okay,
it.
right? We're okay on everything.
I think we're all right.
About shit or excrement.
Now that's an educated man, right?
Take care, you guys. Nice to meet you.
All right. See you guys. So that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. That was really great to, you know, an example of community coming together, people coming together, just by happenstance. We came together, had a great conversation, really, really fantastic. And so that's the beauty of what we're doing, Mike.
And that wouldn't have happened in a Zoom meeting.
No way, not a chance. No,
Y-
especially being outside like this. This is really fantastic. It's beautiful.
So that was really fun. These people are great friends. They're super community oriented, family oriented, just absolutely wonderful people. And this is what the kind of thing that we have in common. You know, there's so much that we all have in common when we come together to care about our community and about the future and about our kids. And AI can really be a great benefit and a real boon, you know, to us and to everybody, to take everything that we have learned in our experience, our wisdom, and then share it in podcasting and share and help people. And this podcast is free.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're giving advice that, you know, is very valuable.
Yeah, very valuable. People pay me a lot of money to give this advice. So, you know,
Exactly.
so they're going to be getting it for free on this podcast. Do you want me to go over my background or not? Is it not?
Yeah. Well, we want you to know, we want you to meet people. So for goodness sake, yes, because, you know, this is networking, but I'll do a little podcast networking training. I teach cross group networking. I teach AI business networking. I teach podcast networking. So it is networking. Now that means meeting people, but you can learn more about somebody on a podcast and what they're like, you know, like we were just talking, you know, they learn more that, you know, you're from Florida and they heard more about you and learn more in your interactions with people. So this is what networking is all about. So that's what we want to share. We want to share speed networking and get people in to Zoom meetings and out of Zoom meetings as fast as we can. So by all means, Dr. Bob Levine, please share your background and share your experience and where your wisdom came from, not just your technical experience, but your wisdom, your background.
That's quite a question there, Mike. Well, you know, I was fortunate to grow up in a really nice family. My father was a nuclear engineer. My mother was a teacher. And we had conversations around the table. You know, every meal was a new opportunity to converse and learn. So that was really valuable. You know, so the family, I think, is very important, right? That's just my feeling. And you get family in a lot of places. You know, you may only have a mother, you may only have a father. There may have been something that caused a family to unfold. You may have siblings, but you can create family. Like we're creating with us, Mike. We're creating family here.
Absolutely.
This is, you know, we're a budding, long-standing relationship.
Well,
so,
you come out, you stay overnight at my house. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so the importance of I don't want people to think when I say the importance of family, like you got to have the nuclear family. I think the nuclear family is great, but you don't have to have it. You can create it in many ways. So people who don't have the experience of the nuclear family, as we describe it, you know, mother, father, children, they can have it in other ways. That's the key, you know. And but I grew up, you know, thinking I was a stupid person. You know, I did.
which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think my getting the PhD in pharmacology, doing brain research, neurology, psychiatry, that experience, I think that was in compensation actually for as a young child thinking that I was a stupid person. And it was not like I consciously thought that because it wasn't a conscious thought, it was more like a subconscious conclusion that I drew about myself when my mom took me to get my IQ tested when I was a kid. And there was one little thing I couldn't do. I did everything else great. It was fun, except that one little thing I couldn't do. I couldn't put a bunch of blocks together. And it was like, wow, there must be something wrong with me. I remember the psychologist looked at me and he goes, you don't know how to put these blocks together? And he's probably thinking, wow, this kid's really smart, but he doesn't know how to put the blocks together. And I said, no, I don't. And then he reached for two and said, let me help you. And as soon as he reached for the two first ones, I put them all together. But I left that meeting unhappy, less happy than when I got there because it was at that moment that I said, there must be something wrong with me. Then that got buried in my subconscious mind. So, it's really challenging to go through life, subconsciously thinking you're stupid and not raising your hand in class. I want to give other people a chance to answer the question, et cetera. So anyway, I just wanted to tell that because everybody should understand that they had something that happened in their early in life. Could be really simple like that. Could be something else that's impacting them even today, probably. So I got the PhD maybe as a compensation for that early event. Then but also I want to mention I went to college on a football scholarship. I was a star athlete in high school. So then I moved into holistic health because even though I directed a basic research lab, I moved into holistic health because I had a bad back and hip problem. And I was able to solve that through alternative non-insurance covered therapies. And that prompted me to get training and then to end up running clinical trials and treating thousands of people. So that's kind of like what my background is.
Okay, let's get back to the point of walking. Now, not just how, but to do it. And that what we really want to encourage you to do is swing your arms, walk. Now, when I listened to my very first podcast walking episode, it was about an hour and a half. And I recorded it. It was my own podcast. But I wanted to see what the impact of it would be listening to it and walking. And what I realized is I put my head down and really went for it. And I did. But I was swinging my arms and I was booking. And I walked hard for about an hour and a half and I broke into a sweat. And I usually don't work that hard at the gym to sweat. I do my strength training, but I do it regularly, but I'm not real killing myself. But I worked hard and I sweated and that was good. And that's cardio. That's good for, Bob will tell you how many parts of my body that is good for. But that's what we want you to do. And if you're listening to this right now, what I'd like you to do is to grab your walking shoes and start to think about doing this on a regular basis. Put your shoes in the right place that is convenient. Put your clothes so that you have a system of getting out and walking and moving and keeping your blood flow, keeping your body working, keeping your body active. And we're going to teach you how to do asynchronous networking and Loom meetings. So you're going to be able to outreach to people with podcasts and Loom. They're going to be more responsive to you than you've ever experienced in your whole life, and you will not be stuck in Zoom meetings. So we're going to...
What is Loom?
Loom is a technology. It's spelled close to Zoom, but it's with an L. And it's a screencast recording. And it's just a really cool, especially with AI, when you can have AI give you the teleprompter of what you want to say as your muse, and then get that to break writer's block or podcaster's block to talk about what you want to talk about and really talk intelligently and positively, and being able to always have a co-host or a co-pilot to help you as your muse. And then we're going to be talking about different technologies that you can use. So my point of coming back, this is a podcast. Use your phone, listen to your phone. And one really important point, Bob, and then we'll go back to you, is that we're going to connect the dots. Now, Steve Jobs, when he spoke to the graduates of Stanford University, in their 38-second soundbite, he talked about the importance of connecting the dots in your life, in your business, in whatever it is you want to do. And that's the problem that most people have, is they don't have all the dots. They're missing dots, and they don't know how to connect them all, and they don't quite come together like your blocks. When they don't quite fit together, then it doesn't work. But when you can put them together, then it can work beautifully, and you can look a lot smarter even to yourself, okay? So we want to teach you how to connect the dots. So we put the dots right underneath this video so that you can, they're links, and they're now talking about podcasting. YouTube will let you put links right underneath your video. So if you're out listening to this, and I sure hope you are, look at the, maybe sit down on the bench, look at the links, look at the dots right below this video. And if you find you're missing one, click on it. It's that simple. We've made it super easy. And this is a podcasting technique that you should be incorporating on YouTube into your business life to connect the dots. So that's part of what we're helping people do, is connect the dots in their life, keep on walking and keep on learning and connect the dots, just like Steve Jobs advises us to do to make it better. Connect the dots.
That's really great, Mike. I love that connecting the dots business that you're talking about. So we've gone for about 43 minutes or so. Should we keep going a little bit, or do we want to wrap up soon?
We can take a break and advise what people should do. They're out on a walk. Ideally, we've recruited them to take a 45-minute walk, hopefully.
Absolutely,
Let's say they have. But if not, advise them about why they should get ready tomorrow to be ready, to take a walk, and what they should do at this point.
Well, the key points that I want to bring up are twofold. First of all, we've been watching a lot of people walk by, and I would say 75 to 80% of the people are looking down at the ground most of the time. So that's leading to a walker later in life. Young people, old people, it doesn't matter. I'm watching all these people walk by, and some people have really we call it a forward head posture, where the head is pushing forward. That creates a lot of tension in the back of the neck and the shoulders, and people wonder why they're tense back there all the time. And by the way, we'll talk another time about ergonomics at the computer, just because people have all kinds of problems with ergonomics at the computer and they don't know it. And that's leading to big time trouble. I'll just tell you one story real quick. We had a woman in one of my programs when I was back in Henry Ford Health System, leading a group program with 100 people. It was a multi-session program for chronic pain relief and stress relief. And so she had a problem where her shoulder was really causing her a lot of pain. And she's a young lady. I mean, young. She was like probably in her late 20s, early 30s, and could hardly move her arm because of the pain. And so it turned out that what the cause was using a mouse, and always with the right arm using a mouse and mousing around. And that's caused her muscles in her shoulder and all the way down her arm to lock up and be in chronic pain. So we got her into a different ergonomic setup, which I can talk about another time, which solved the problem immediately. So that's an easy example of how one simple change can make a big difference, right? So anyway, looking, scanning the ground, looking down, and then scanning long, and as long as nothing's in the way, keep your head up. You can use your peripheral vision to spot things that are in the way, and then what you do is you just walk and you look up. Now, if you don't want to make eye contact with people, because some people don't want to make eye contact, just look up and to the right or the left of them, so you're not really looking at them. And then we'll talk later on about why people don't want to make eye contact with other people. That's another story.
Okay, Bob, you're not just walking, you're podcasting.
Absolutely.
You are podcasting right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that experience of podcasting right now. And we're changing the whole scenario from walking and physical to monetization, to podcasting, storytelling.
Yeah. Well, a lot of podcasters can make a lot of money just by having advertisers wanting to pay for advertisements on the podcast. And we're gonna have that. We just started, but we're gonna have that, because the information that we're teaching is so valuable. So when you have a valuable message and you're out there podcasting, you can monetize that. And also you meet people, you have followers, you get to communicate with them. It expands your community. So podcasting is really valuable. And what I'm going to do from now on, when I'm out walking and podcasting, I'm going to hang the phone from my neck. So I have my arm swing. Both, I don't have to hold the phone. My arms are going to swing naturally. I'm going to look long until I reach the point where I need to look down and scan one more time. And then I'm going to keep looking long and keeping my head upright, which helps the head move back over the shoulders over time, right? And then I'm going to hang the phone around my neck, so it's going to be easy to talk into it. What do you think about that, Mike?
Okay, I think we're going to use
It just came up.
Exactly. This is ad-libbing and it's fun and it's alive. But I want to connect the dots to Dr. Bob. So we're going to put the link for people to connect the dot to Dr. Bob.
Yeah, the best way for people to find out about me, Mike, is to go to this link, open a browser on your phone and go to Dr. Bob, that's Dr. Bob, Dr. Bob Talks, TALKS.com, drbobtalks.com. They can find out a lot about me. It's not everything, but there's a lot there.
Okay, the way I look at it, folks, is that I'm going to assume that you are out walking, or you could be driving, you could be in your boat, you could be fishing. So I'm going to assume you can't take notes, okay? So we want to help you, and we want to connect all of the dots for you below this video so that you can have access to everything that you hear on this podcast when you get back. So when you get back to your office, you get back home, always look for the dots, always connect the dots, and it'll always be below the video. So for now, I think we're good. We're going to continue to create content to aid you walking. We hope you will keep walking with or without the podcast and stay healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Yeah, be well. This is Dr. Bob signing off, and it's been great to be with you. I'm looking forward to more podcast opportunities like this so we can learn from each other. I can teach all of you about things, and then ultimately in comments as they come along, I'll be able to learn from all of you too.
Now, pretty soon you'll hear me say something like, joining us now is so-and-so. So we're going to make them long. We're going to connect the dots on these through Loom videos, and we want to keep you walking. Okay, that was a great segment with my friend Dr. Bob Levine on AI podcast Walking to Keep You Moving. We're going to share quickly, remind you the advice from Steve Jobs to the Stanford graduating class about the importance of connecting the dots. Listen to this quick advice, and then we will follow up immediately with my friend Tim Daniels so you continue walking. And don't forget, you can take Steve's advice and connect the dots about all aspects of your life right below this video. So first, Steve Jobs, then Tim Daniels talking about the video. Tim did a video with me. So if you like what you hear from Tim, you can connect the dots right below this video to see the video and see the details about the BEMER and what Tim is talking about.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
And now I'm interviewing my friend Tim Daniels. Tim is a health manager. Tim, with all of your experience, you have recently introduced me to the BEMER, and there's really a wow factor to it when you are first introduced to it. So tell me a little bit about your background and the BEMER and why you're so excited about it.
Well, Mike, I'm on career 2.5. Career 1, I was an IT executive running consulting and services practices. Towards the end of that, though, I decided I wanted to be of more direct benefit to people and feel a more tangible way of helping people. So that's when I ran into start a business doing in-home care for the elderly that operated in 3 states: New York, counties in New York, county in New Jersey, and then throughout Connecticut. And did that for 8 years, and that was a great benefit. The challenge was, and I did feel like I was providing more benefit to people, but the challenge became that I really got the opportunity to see people get better. And that led me on the search for something that would do that, to help, whether someone was 80 years old, 85 years old, or whether they were in their teens, something could help them progress. And so that's why I kind of got into the wellness plan management to do that. And in that process, I came across the BEMER medical device out of Europe. And it is a fabulous device that enables will help to lays the foundation for doing just that, helping people get better. And so that's initially what drew me to it. Initially, what I would say, is got me going with it.
Well, let me ask you some functional questions. When you say device, we don't know what that means. How big is it? Does it plug into the wall? Is it handheld? Explain it a little bit. Describe it for us.
Okay. Well, what I can do now, this one here is not the latest model. There is a model that came out on August 16th, which is smaller, but to give you the basic concept. So you basically have a device like this that is the brains, and it's a computer, and like a computer, you can plug things into it. One of the things you plug into it is just like, think of it like a high-end yoga mat, and it's about 6 feet long. And you lay on that, and the BEMER is what you call, falls in the category called pulse electromagnetic field therapy. You call electroceuticals, things of that nature. And so when we create a field that sends the body, sends information to the body, sends a signal to the body responds. This we call the B spot. And that's a very, very targeted, very, very localized area, just like that shoulder joint there. Then, however, there is another thing that's called the B pad that's about 5 inches wide and it's called about 2 feet long. Think of it's like a large belt. And that can be used on larger parts of the body, shoulder, the back. And I've got ripped up knees from my collegiate wrestling days. And so I'll wrap it around my knees and it will help me with discomfort. And it's done some other things to help me improve my range of motion in that in one knee that was deteriorating over time.
Tim, I've seen the before and after pictures, and they're dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about those, what those are, where they came from, and what the result of what they do for people to make that happen, that result happen.
Well, I think what you're referring to there, Mike, in terms of before and after, is really speaking about the blood flow. One of the things that a PEMF device, and I think as I've looked at a number of them, BEMER is a leader in the marketplace at this point in time, especially in the low frequency, what's called low frequency PEMF. But one of the things it is best known for is improving blood flow at the capillary level. And that way you get, this is the FDA cleared class 2 device, or the FDA has stated there are certain things that can come from it. And one of those things is that improved local blood flow. So one has to think, when you improve that local blood flow at the capillary level, what that can lead to. You're now distributing oxygen, nutrients better to the cells. You're getting better uptake. So you're really starting to build health right at that cellular level. Better cells lead to better tissues, lead to better organs, leads to better overall body. And so that's one part of what it does. But then also think about there are 11 other regulatory systems in the body that all depend upon blood flow from some degree or another. Your immune system is heavily dependent upon blood flow. So when you improve that, you can help with a lot of things. So BEMER puts you in the state for healing, for wellness, and the things that the FDA will say it can do for you is better muscle strength, better energy and vitality. It can help you get better rest, things of that nature.
Well, on a personal level, actually, a couple of friends of mine suffered from neuropathy, and that is really painful. Tell me a little bit about the result of the blood flow and helping pain, and particularly in something like neuropathy.
Well, two things on that, Mike. In the U.S., while BEMER, let's step back for a moment. This is now the 25th. The BEMER is not on test or not on trial. This is the 25th year of BEMER. It has multiple international patents. I think it's probably been in over 40 countries around the world. Don't hold me to that last figure. It's been in multiple countries around the world on that one. It's used in over 4,000 hospital clinics and universities around the world. And you can get good supporting studies and things of that nature by going to pubmed.gov, which is supported by the National Institute of Health. And you go out to Google Scholar and find some. I say all this to preface it, because given the FDA regulations here in the U.S., it's not meant to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. Okay, but now what one has to look at in this regard to what you talk to, it certainly can be said helps with discomfort. But what I will say is I've seen things it's border on almost miraculous. So that I'm really cautious when I talk to people about it, because they may think that they said this can't possibly be happening. But I've seen people in their bedridden at 80 be able to come back and thrive. I've seen people in challenging environments living optimally. In my own environment, it broke up scar tissue over the years. People always get new impacts from old injuries as they age, and there are biological changes. So I had problems that were kicking up from my knees. I'd had operation on both of those, and it really helped discomfort. It broke up scar tissues, gave me range of motion. So it's those types of things when you see somebody that's struggling with daily activities, struggling with a challenging environment, and then they start thriving and they live better and the joy that comes to them. That's the reward that I get, and that's the success at this point in time. Getting a little bit technical here, but not a lot. There's something called the nitrogen monoxide system in the body that actually helps with discomfort management, and BEMER is very key in triggering that and helping to modulate that to help bring some discomfort relief. And certainly, when you get more oxygen delivered to tissues and things of that nature, you're creating an environment for the cells and tissues to thrive. And as I mentioned, when you start getting that oxygen and that better distribution of nutrients, the better uptake of those cells, body replaces itself over time, right? So those better cells that will be replacing lead to better tissues, would include nerves. And so you can look to say it's a foundation to help one maintain that wellness and achieve wellness over time. Does that answer your question there, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. Now back to my sports background. One of the things I was struck by was that the NBA, the National Basketball Association, understands that retired NBA players often have pain, and they have approved it for their insurance program for retired NBA players. That seems like a real pat on the back for the BEMER.
Well, what it is, what I would say, and there's a couple of things. One, if the NFL Alumni Association actually has had a partnership with BEMER and kind of endorsed it to put it out to their members, and one can go out to YouTube and find. I think he's still the president of it, Beasley Reese, and see where Beasley has actually done a number of videos talking about how BEMER has helped him and things of that nature. From the NBA standpoint, that's more a program that I have put in place. It's not necessarily at the NBA level they have done that. I've worked with working with some retired players. We have looked at it and found that we can work the BEMER into their process and their benefit process, and certainly help them get it to those who qualify for what's called the co-branded NBA benefits card. We've got the process, the procedures in place to help them get reimbursed, or not even get reimbursed, to acquire one at no out-of-pocket cost for them. There are NBA teams that are indeed using the BEMER, and there are individual current athletes, the current NBA players that are using it. And then I've worked with a number of retired NBA players to get them help the help they need from it.
Well, so the insurance industry accepts it as a medical device.
In some regards, yes. So it in fact, it is an FDA cleared Class 2 medical device. And so one can go. Part of my business that I have is I work to get, in addition to the business to consumer, business to athlete that I help with, I also work and focus to have the impact that I want on getting BEMER into the hands of oncologists, rheumatologists, podiatrists, pain management, physical therapists, all of those. And so, yes, when one goes to one of those kind of qualified physicians and get BEMER sessions, those can indeed be reimbursed by insurance. There are what they call specific CPT codes, insurance reimbursement things to be done for that. It does not fall into, from my home care days, you would see things they call durable medical equipment. So somebody buying one of those for home use could get that reimbursed by Medicare or Medicare. It does not qualify for that type of reimbursement, but certainly going for sessions at a doctor that has one can get that covered by insurance.
Now, you and I have talked about a number of famous people that have bought the BEMER. Can you name any of them?
Among the golfers, Fred Funk has it. Also, Phil Mickelson has actually tweeted about using it. So there are people of that nature. You take one of the prime ambassador for BEMER, and I'm sure she does get paid for it, but she loves it, is Brooke Burke, who hosted Dancing with the Stars, where I think you appeared one time. So you'll find Layla Ali uses it. Let's say who are some of the other, like Beasley Reese, who I mentioned from the NFL. What is Tyson McGuffin, who at one point in time was ranked as the #1 pickleball player in the world. And so a number, Leslie Patterson, who is I think she's a 5 times women's triathlete winner. Rebecca Rush, who's an ultra endurance. On and on and on. There are probably over 2,000 professional Olympic athletes that have used it. Justin Gatlin, who has written a very nice endorsement about it. He started using it before the Rio Olympics, and that's where he finished second to Usain Bolt at what would still, even at that point, would be considered a advanced age for a sprinter. Then the next year, he was the one who beat Usain Bolt at the World Games, and he was very advanced at age that point. And then he almost made the last Olympics. I think he pulled up with a little bit of injury in the last heat, but that was at a very, very advanced age for a sprinter. So you can see that, my opinion, that it helps contribute to performance and to not only, in my opinion, it does help with training harder, longer performance. What I would say, in my opinion, you can say it can help people sustain those high level of performance beyond the years that they may normally have done so in other manners.
Let me just finish with ease of use. How much time do you spend, and how much time does the average person spend with the BEMER?
Okay. If one's going in to see a physician, they can go in a couple times a week and get plenty of help in a lot of things. And it's just typically an 8.5 minute session. The ultimate, right, is you have one at home and you're using it twice a day for 8.5 minutes. You lay on the mat. You use those peripherals we talked about for larger or smaller parts of the body. You use those as many times as you want to per day, and you base that upon how your body is reacting, what your body needs.
All right. Well, Tim Daniels, thanks for doing good work. I want to help my friends relieve their pain, and so I'm happy to talk about the BEMER with you. Thanks for taking the time, Tim.
Well, thank you, Mike.
Okay, we hoped you enjoyed AI Podcast Walking. We hope you had a great walk and a nice change from being stuck in Zoom rooms. Now, don't forget the words of Steve Jobs, connect the dots, and you can do that right below this video. So find the video of the conversation I had with Tim Daniels right below this video and learn more by looking at what you heard about the BEMER. Thanks for joining us, and keep moving and podcast listening and launching the AI Supercampus.